I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe I just need to get it off my chest. Maybe someone out there has seen the same thing and needs to know they're not crazy. I don't expect anyone to believe me. Hell, if I wasn't there myself, I wouldn't believe it either. But I swear on everything I love, this happened. And I've never been the same since. It was late October 2019. I was 17 at the time, a senior in high school, just trying to make some cash before graduation. My girlfriend, Emily, and I both worked part-time at a small diner in Oxford, about 20 minutes from my hometown, Taylor, Mississippi. We had both just finished our shifts that night. I remember it was a slow evening, and by the time we locked up, it was already pushing 10:30. We were starving and had to fuel up, so we grabbed some food from a gas station across the street before heading back. The plan was simple: eat, drive home, and maybe hang out at my place for a bit before she had to head back to her folks' house. Simple, but things didn't go as planned. I was driving my '97 Ford Taurus down the Mississippi 328, a 2-lane road cutting through miles of dense forest and farmland. If you've ever been out that way, you know how quiet it gets at night. No streetlights, barely any houses, just a long stretch of road with nothing but woods on either side. It was peaceful in a way, but also eerie. I'd driven that road 100 times before, but this time was different. About 10 minutes into the drive, I felt the car pull hard to the right, followed by a loud thump. "Shit," I muttered, gripping the wheel. Emily looked up from her phone. "What's wrong?" "Flat tire." I pulled off onto the shoulder, putting us right at the edge of the woods. The trees stretched over us on both sides. My headlights cast a weak glow on the cracked pavement, barely cutting through the darkness of the night. I killed the engine and sighed. Well, guess I gotta change it. Emily frowned. "You need help?" "Nah, just stay in the car. I'll be quick." I stepped out into the cool night air, popping the trunk and grabbing the jack. The only sound was the distant chirping of crickets and the occasional rustling in the trees from nocturnal animals. I tried not to think about how exposed I was out there, crouched down by the back tire, struggling with the lug nuts. The flashlight on my phone wasn't doing much to help. But I got the tire off fairly easy. I went to grab the spare out of the trunk, and that's when I felt it. That feeling you get when someone's watching you. It started as a prickling sensation at the back of my neck, and then my hair stood up. I kind of froze, my hands still gripping the tire iron. I slowly lifted my head. My eyes scanned the tree line, searching for movement. At first, I saw nothing, just forest. But then, to my right, 2 glowing yellow eyes the size of baseballs. They weren't like animal eyes reflecting light. It was like 2 glow in the dark baseball-sized circles. They were high up too, at least 6 or 7 feet off the ground, maybe more. My mind raced, trying to rationalize it. Deer? No, deer eyes don't glow like that. My eyes playing tricks on me? Maybe, but then they moved. I watched as whatever it was stepped forward, revealing its shape. A massive, hulking figure, standing upright on 2 legs. Its body was covered in thick, jet-black fur, and its shoulders were unnaturally broad. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. My human mind couldn't register at the time. But the worst part was the head. It was unmistakably canine. A long snout, pointed ears, like some kind of twisted wolf, but far bigger. It stood there, staring at me, unblinking. I didn't move. I was too scared in that moment, almost in shock from what I was looking at. This thing let out some kind of growl that shook my whole insides up. It literally penetrated my soul. I bolted. I didn't think, didn't hesitate. I just ran for the car door. I I almost tripped over my own feet as I threw myself into the driver's seat and slammed the door shut. Emily jumped. "Lock the doors, now." She saw the fear in my face and did as I said. My hands were shaking as I fumbled to get the keys in the ignition, completely forgetting the back tire was still off. That's when we heard it. The crunch of leaves and a soft thud of heavy footsteps circling the car. Emily's eyes began to water. "What the fuck is that?" she whispered. I couldn't answer. All I could do was grip the wheel, hands shaken, and watch as the shadow moved around us. A clawed hand, massive, with long, curved black fingers, slid over the window beside me. The nails scraped against the glass, slow and deliberate, like something out of a creature feature film. Emily let out a choked sob, covering her mouth. Oh my God. I didn't want to look, but I had to. My eyes flicked to the driver's side window, and there it was, inches away. That monstrous face peering in at me, lips curling back aggressively, drool and saliva dripping like a faucet. Rows of sharp, yellowed teeth gleamed in the dim light, saliva dripping from its jaws. It was like this thing was enjoying it. It knew we were terrified. It tapped. Not a hard knock, not a scratch, just a single deliberate tap on the glass. Like it was letting us know it could get in whenever it wanted. Emily was crying, shaking her head. This isn't real. This can't be real. I reached for my phone, my hands trembling so badly I almost dropped it. No service, of course, out here in the middle of nowhere. We were sitting ducks. The thing moved again, this time stepping in front of the car. The hood dipped under its weight as it leapt onto it, crouching like a predator about to strike. Its claws dug into the metal, its eyes locking onto Emily's. It let out another low growl, then threw its head back and howled a long, bone-chilling sound that made me and my girlfriend cover our ears. "Start the car," Emily whispered. "Start it." "We can't go anywhere." "I didn't even put the spare on," I said. I tried my phone again, and this time I got service. I called 911 and told them our location, told them we were being attacked by an animal. The operator was a pain in the ass that night, asking a million questions, until I cursed her out, explaining that we were in danger. I think we waited 10 or 15 minutes out there that night for the nearest patrol car. I can't remember. It was like a blur. As I hung up the phone, I glanced up at the creature. The thing's ears twitched at the sound of the phone pad, and its snarl widened. It lifted one clawed hand and smashed the windshield 3 times. The windshield exploded inward, glass raining down on us. Emily screamed, covering her face as I threw my arms up in defense. The creature roared, pushing its massive head through the shattered window, inches from my face. Just before it went to bite my face off, a flash of red and blue lights lit up the bend around the corner, and the unmistakable wail of a siren. The Dogman's head snapped toward the flashing lights behind us. For the first time, I saw something change in its expression. Annoyance, anger, I don't know. But in the blink of an eye, it leapt off the hood and vanished into the trees. A police cruiser rolled up behind us, tires crunching on the gravel near the side of the road. The spotlight clicked on, flooding our car with blinding white light. A voice crackled over a loudspeaker. "You folks okay?" I didn't answer right away. My heart was still hammering in my chest, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles had gone white. Emily was curled up in the passenger seat, her arms wrapped around herself, shaking. The shattered windshield had left shards of glass all over the dashboard and our laps. A second later, the cop stepped out of his cruiser. He was a middle-aged guy, a little heavyset, with a thick mustache and a skeptical expression. He adjusted his belt and approached the driver's side window, shining his flashlight into my face. "What happened here?" he asked, frowning at the mess of broken glass. I stumbled my words at first, trying to slow my breathing. My mind was screaming at me to tell him everything. To say that there was a giant, monstrous werewolf out there in the woods, that it had terrorized us, smashed our windshield, and nearly killed us. But I didn't. I forced my voice to stay even and muttered, We hit an animal." Emily's head jerked toward me, her eyes wide. I could tell she wanted to say something, but she didn't. She just looked down at her lap, biting her lip. The officer raised an eyebrow. "An animal?" He pointed at the windshield. "I got a call saying y'all were being attacked. You hit it hard enough to do all this?" I nodded. "Yeah. Big deer came out of nowhere. Its body was stuck in the windshield and was kicking everywhere. So, yeah, we were kind of being attacked." "You're full of shit," I thought to myself. "You guys hurt?" I shook my head quickly. "No, we're fine. Just shaken up." The officer nodded, then looked around, shining his flashlight toward the woods. "Where'd it go?" I hesitated, ran off into the trees. He muttered something under his breath and glanced at the busted windshield again. "You sure it wasn't a bear? We get a few of them out here." "No, just a deer," I repeated firmly. I wasn't about to try explaining what had really happened. He'd either think I was lying or that I had lost my damn mind. The cop sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Damn things are everywhere this time of year." The officer studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "Let's get that tire changed and get you two home." I exhaled, nodding. "Thanks, officer." He walked back to his cruiser, radioing something in, while I grabbed the spare from the trunk again. My hands were still shaking, but I forced myself to work quickly. I wanted to get the hell out of there. As I worked, Emily leaned out the window and whispered, "Why didn't you tell him?" I didn't stop. "You think he'd believe me?" "Hey, officer, some kind of werewolf thing just attacked us, smashed our windshield, and then disappeared when you showed up." "Yeah, that'd go over real well." "But what if it's still out there?" she said. I didn't answer, because I knew it was. I finished tightening the last lug nut and tossed the old flat tire into the trunk. As I slammed it shut, I glanced toward the tree line one last time. Nothing, just darkness, but I knew it was there. I climbed back into the car, nodding at the cop. "We're good to go." He gave me a firm nod. "Drive safe, and keep an eye out for any more deer." I gave a weak chuckle and pulled back onto the highway, my hands still gripping the wheel like a lifeline. Emily was silent beside me, staring out the window, her face blank. Neither of us spoke the rest of the drive home. We never talked about that night again. But I'll tell you this, I never drove down Highway 328 after dark again, and I never will. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more horror content. If you have any real cryptid encounters, or you're a horror writer wanting to share your stories, please feel free to email me in the description anytime.